All right. Well, it is the top of the hour, so I want to just give a hearty welcome to the PMI team. Today, we're going to hear from Ann Smith, the founder and CEO of Guide and Grow Consulting. Ann's going to be talking on design your development, chart your career. Within the meeting invitation, you can see a little bit more about Ann's her biography and a summary of the class. So if you haven't taken a look at that, please do. Just a couple of notes. Ann has mentioned a couple times that we are, if you look in the session chat, there is a link to a PDF file for that we're going to be using during this session. And so Ann will be giving us instructions over the next hour as each of us work on completing that PDF. We will use the session Q&A. Remember, you'll be in the session window for any questions you might have for Ann, and anything that you want to relay to Ann, for that matter. So with that, let me welcome Ann Smith to our September PMI Western Idaho chapter Lunch and Learn. Welcome.
Thank you so much for the introduction. I very much appreciate it. And thank you all for coming today. I know you are all very busy professionals, and the fact that you're here tells me that you are actually investing in your career. So you've already taken the first step, which is fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and share a quick window here. And it is some slides that we'll be going through today. And as Brian mentioned, we are going to be starting on actually creating some planning, and then also starting to think through what development we want to do going forward for our current role or for the next step that you may want to take in your career. So for that, there is a link to a fillable PDF in the session chat, and you can click on that and you can download that PDF. And once you download it, it becomes fillable, and you can use it to take notes and then work through some of the activities that we're going to be doing today. You can then also use it after the session to continue your planning and have conversations potentially with your leader about your development and how you want to grow and learn going forward. Like he said, I'm Ann Smith with Guide and Grow Consulting. I've been doing learning and development for several decades. I won't say exactly how long, but my passion is really helping people succeed in the workplace. And so is it your current role that you really want to just knock it out of the park, or are you looking for the next step? And we do have some specifics to project management during the course of this conversation as well. Like Brian said, we're going to be using the Q&A a lot because it is an interactive session, and I will be asking you to type into the Q&A. So use that Q&A instead of the chat. And before we start, I just want to let you know that career development is actually the #1 concern for employees in the workplace. It will help you focus on your own professional development. And if there are any people leaders on the call, it will also help you guide your people through the same type of conversation. Just out of curiosity, using the Q&A, is anyone on the call leading a team of people? Just put in yes in the Q&A if you are actually a people leader, because then you will be able to utilize these same principles talking to team members about your and their professional development. So you can type in yes if you are a people leader. If not, that's great. You're going to be focusing on your own professional development. Brian is, thank you very much. And Barbara not. Okay, thank you. Much appreciated. Okay, this is these are our learning objectives for today. They are also listed in that participant workbook, the fillable PDF, so you can look at those and you can go back and review them. Be sure to type in if you have a question, and we will make sure that we address it along the way in the session Q&A. And so my first question, I often ask this for those of you that know me or have done classes in the past, go ahead and type in the Q&A. How many things can the human brain focus on effectively at one time? How many things can a human brain focus on effectively at one time? Go ahead and type in the number you think we can focus on effectively at one time. I see Jeff's a people leader. I see lots of people. Jeff, 1. Robert, 1. Jennifer, Brian, yes, 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 yes. All of you that typed in 1, you win the prize. According to several Stanford studies, the human brains are actually terrible at multitasking. When we do it, not only does it impact our short-term memory negatively, it also just enables us to do several things at once poorly. So I challenge you today to give yourself permission to focus the next, 54 minutes on your own future, on your own development, on your own growth, and engage in the conversation. Do the work, and you can walk away with a draft or at least a beginning of a plan for your future learning and development. Sound good? You can give me a thumbs up if that sounds good. I see lots of great answers in the Q&A, so thank you for that. So let's start out by kind of focusing on the benefits of career development. So who can type into that Q&A, what are some benefits for you as an employee, leaders, and your organization for investing time and into career development? What are those benefits for yourself, for your leaders, and for your organization? How do you all benefit? Go ahead and type in one thing, and we should get a collection of many, many things that are benefits and why you're probably here today. What are some benefits of career development? That can be for you as an employee, it can be for your leaders, or it can be for your organizations. How do you all benefit? No one can think of any benefits. I'm curious why you're here today. There might be a little bit of a lag too. All right, well, I'll start out and just share at first just some benefits for a well-planned and executed career development framework. Why does it make sense for yourself and for your business? So let's start out with sort of business results or business benefits. First of all, it helps engage employees, right? Career development is an essential part of employee engagement. In a recent Culture Amp survey, it revealed that the #1 driver of engagement is learning and career development. Also, it helps attract and retain great, talented people. In a recent Gallup State of the Workplace survey, only 4 in 10 people agreed that in the past year they had a chance to learn and grow. So it's really important to attract and retain great people, that we do offer that opportunity to learn and grow. Also, if people are developing inside a company or organization, then they're less likely to look outside the company for that career development or for a different job, right? And I see some people that are putting some Q&A into the chat. I'm finally seeing it now. Thank you. I see Robert says it's twofold. It greatly benefits the organization to positively impact the business outcomes, and which is what we're talking about, it also allows you to reach greater heights in your career. I love that, right? It helps you create your own career goals. Shawan, thank you. Yes. New learning jumpstarts ideation. Yes, in fact, I'm glad that you put that in there. It really is ideation, agility, and growth. People who invest in learning are more agile and they're more innovative. A recent Deloitte study found that companies with continuous learning culture are 46% more likely to be first to market, 36% more productive, 92% more likely to innovate. 6 out of 10 employees worldwide believe that training allows them to more accommodate and manage change in their organization. So perfect comment there. It helps you remain competitive. Absolutely, Joe. I totally agree with you. continuous growth. As a leader, it helps you build a bench and minimize turnover. Absolutely, Brian, right? How do you identify those skills within your organization and grow people and do some succession planning, right? Instead of going outside the organization. And I see giving direction, it benefits customers and profit. Yes, it also benefits profit, personal enrichment, all of those things. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing all of that. So let us next move on to the next piece, which is how do you see your role in managing career development? So we really want this to be meaningful to you. So it only comes to life if you're kind of asking questions and leaning into the conversation. So this could be, how do you see your role in managing your own career development? Or if you're a leader, like some of you on the call, how do you see your role in helping manage and lead your team with their career development? So either one works there. Go ahead and type into the Q&A. 100% responsible, Jennifer. Yes, absolutely. Right. So you are 100% responsible, which puts a lot of, onus on you for your own career development, right? No one cares more than you do, Miles. I love it. Absolutely. That is very true. Any other thoughts on where you see your role in managing career development for yourself or possibly your team? It's on me with support. Yes, absolutely. It's on you to own it, right? But then you get support from your management and your company. Absolutely. Thank you, Brian. All right. What about this question? What challenges do you face when undertaking development activities? So what gets in the way of learning what you really want to learn to take the next step or grow or be more successful? What gets in the way? Type that in. There's one answer that I see more than any other answer when it comes to this. Bandwidth and time. Absolutely. And I'm going to try and pronounce your name. Kritka, potentially. And I see Jennifer saying time. Noise of day-to-day. Time, Joe says. Kendra says the noise of day-to-day. Yes, all of you are right. That is the number one thing that I hear. Time is the number one thing that people say gets in the way of developing themselves or even their team members. And, of course, I can't make you block time on your calendar for professional development and learning, although sometimes that's just what it takes to make sure that you're devoting time to something that's this valuable to you, your team, and your company. So just like you block time today, you can block, maybe it's 30 minutes or 60 minutes once a week, you can have blocked out towards your career development. Then people won't calendar over it, and it then becomes less of a priority for you. It's kind of like investing in, money, right? You can't make money in the market unless you invest the money. You can't learn and grow unless you invest time to do that, right? So it's the same type of thing. You're going to get what you put into it yourself. Yeah, I like the cartoon too, Jennifer. And I see Robert says the biggest challenge is maintaining your productivity and benefits you provide to your organization while balancing the ability to grow yourself. And I think you're right, Robert. I totally agree. I think it's a matter of prioritization, because growing yourself will ultimately make you more productive and make you be able to deliver at a higher level to your organization. And so it's really striking that balance between, getting your work done, obviously, and making sure that you're developing yourself to be, most productive in your current role and taking on the next role as well. And Brian, you said as a people manager, the challenge is helping your team determine the what. Absolutely, Brian. And you're welcome to sort of take this PDF and walk your team members through a similar exercise where they're thinking about what is the next what? What does that look like, right? All right. Well, thank you all for your input there. Let us move on to the secret weapon, which many of you already mentioned, and that really is you. At the end of the day, you are the most important career tool that you can possibly have. Your experiences, your strengths, your passions are what, gives your career life. Having a satisfying, fulfilling, productive career involves aligning those things with your career choices and how you develop going forward. So For many of us, the more that we know about ourselves, the easier it is to identify that what that you're talking about, Robert. And it's easier for us to figure out, where we want to go next or how we want to grow and succeed. So this workshop's about helping you articulate that, what makes you unique, what drives you, and also to help you kind of make more informed choices about next steps. So you can articulate it for yourself, also for your manager or your mentor, or just anyone in your network that can help you with your growth and development. And then again, you can lead your team through a similar process as well. So let's focus on what actions we can take for planning and what those steps look like. And it's very simple. You're going to self-reflect. You're going to explore options. You're going to set your career development goals. You're going to take action. And then guess what? It cycles back around, because after taking action, you're going to see, I'm going to reflect again and see, is this really what I need to be learning to be successful or to take the next step? And then you're going to get some feedback too. So that self-reflection includes feedback as well. So all of these things are kind of the cycle of what career development looks like. And probably many of you are at the point in your year when you're putting together career development planning for the year ahead. I'm anticipating a lot of people do it sort of this time of year is a great time. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of self-reflection, that first step. We're going to do that together, and we're going to kind of look backward, look at now, and then we're going to look forward into what that looks like. So we're going to identify our current strengths, our current gaps, and sort of how we want to plan to move forward. And by doing that, we can make a more informed plan. We'll work toward understanding ourselves, our experience, our skills, our strengths, our personal values, our motivators. And then you're going to use that workbook information to start planning and putting together your development plan. All right, so let's start out, and we're going to work through this together. You can do it without the workbook, but it's much, much easier using the fillable PDF, because then it's yours and you can take it and you can use it. So if you haven't had a chance, in the chat there is a link to the fillable PDF. If you want to click on that and download it, it will allow you to sort of get started on this work that we're going to be focused on. So the first page that we're going to look at is the page that's titled, Where Am I Now? I think that's page 5 in that fillable PDF. And so you'll kind of be able to toggle back and forth, or if you have 2 screens, that's great too. But you don't really need to look at me. You can look at the participant guide. So this first exercise is really designed to help you figure out your current work and how you're managing your career at present. So I also have it on the screen, so never fear. You can look at the screen as well if you don't have the PDF open. We're going to take just a couple of minutes, 1 to 2 minutes, to look through the questions on that page and just mark yes or no to each of the statements that's there. And I'll just pause for a moment. I'll show you what that page looks like. Again, it's page 5. And you can put a check if it's yes, an X if it's no. And it looks like this, if you can see it. But it's the same questions that are on your screen as well. So take a quick moment and look through those and answer yes or no. Krithika, you'll still be able to participate using the screen. I have everything on the slides as well. So if you can't download the PDF, we'll make sure that we get it to you afterwards. No problem. Thanks for letting us know. All right. If you didn't get a chance to finish this moment, that's okay. You can finish after the session, which is why we're providing you with the PDF. When you're thinking through those things, if you have 100% yes, all the way down the list, give yourselves a round of applause, because you are on the right track for your career development planning. That's awesome. And just look at and take note of, for example, under role, am I working towards what I really want? Like, how do you continue to do that, right? How do you continue those yeses? If you have any no's on that list, you're going to want to take note of those no's and think about, okay, this might be where I want to focus as I move forward in my career development planning. So just continue to reflect on those areas in question, and you may need to investigate those no's a little bit further to see if there's anything in your current practice or behavior that you want to change going forward. So keep those in mind as we work towards the next step. Any questions before we move on to the next exercise? Give me a thumbs up if you're all good to go in the Q&A, or a yes. I don't know if does it let you give a thumbs up? I'm not sure. Thumbs up. Okay, so it doesn't actually have a thumbs up. Thanks, Barbara. Much appreciated. All right, well, let's move on to the next exercise. This is sort of where am I now? Okay, and it is page 6. It's reflecting on my experience, and it's really thinking about your current role. And it should help you really gain some more clarity on, what are your development needs. So again, take a few minutes. I'll pause 1 to 2 minutes to just let you think about each answer to these 4 questions. What are the most rewarding aspects of your current role? What are the least rewarding aspects of your current role? Every part of our role is not our favorite part of our role. What strengths and skills do you use now? And then what skills and competencies would you like to develop further? So take a couple minutes. Oh, Jeremy figured out the thumbs up. Thanks, Jeremy. Those 4 questions, just do like 1 or 2 bullets maybe for each of those, and then you can go back and fill it in with more detail later on. So I'll just pause for a minute. If anyone's willing to share any of those things, we would love to see, what are maybe the most or least rewarding pieces of the work that you do today. Thank you, Jennifer. All right, so here we're going to go ahead and pause for now on that. You can always go back to it later. Again, these are things that will help you craft your career development plans. Here's a question for all of you. We'll see if how many people are willing to chat in. So here's the question. We all have things that are really rewarding about our jobs that like Jennifer, like a client took her advice. That's super rewarding, right? We also have things that are at least less rewarding. They're just parts of our job that, are part of the job, which is fine. We do those parts so that we can get to the rewarding parts. So here's the question that you can ask yourself. Are the things that are rewarding to you within your current role, do they make those least rewarding aspects worthwhile? And so you can answer that in the Q&A if you want, or if you don't want to answer, that's okay too. But it's a question that you want to ask yourself, like, do those most rewarding parts make those least rewarding parts worthwhile? And that kind of gets you thinking about your current role a little bit more. All right, as you're thinking through that, I would also love everybody to chat in on this question. Everybody type in, everyone on the call, it looks like 20 people maybe, type in one skill or competency you would like to further develop. So everyone type in one thing that you'd like to further develop. Barbara says, you've left jobs where the least rewarding aspects overwhelm the good aspects. Yeah, absolutely, Barbara. And that's why I asked the question. Really good point. So everyone type in one thing where you'd like to either a skill or a competency you'd like to further develop. So that's, we're pinpointing at least one thing. Ready, go. Everyone type in at least one. Thanks, Miles. Risk management. Appreciate it. Conciseness in presenting. Oh, better at saying no, Jennifer. Yes. Conflict resolution, budget monitoring, planning. I actually teach a class on saying no. I've gotten that request a lot. Budgeting. Yes, that's another great one to learn. Agile skills, strategic planning, another good one. All of these are fantastic. I see strategic over tactical thinking, more agile thinking and behaviors. Great. Biz development, organizational development. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Neil. Yeah, so now we're starting to think, okay, budgeting, this is something I want. System applications, this is something I want to learn. What are these things that we're going to go ahead and figure out, how am I going to learn them going forward, right? Budgeting, yeah, honestly, I would love to learn budgeting more as well. And even just the whole financial side of business. That would be really something that I need to learn and grow within being a business owner. I would love to learn that too. So thanks for sharing that, Janae. And I hope I pronounced your name right. All right. So now that we have that kind of starting our thinking, there's one other thing that you want to think about in sort of how I'm putting together my plan, and that is your values and motivators. So we're going to move to the next page called Values and Motivators. I believe it's page 7. And this kind of helps you think about your perceptions of what is important to you as an individual. Values are kind of those guiding lights that help you make life and career decisions. And motivators are those things that excite you, the drivers that propel you in your chosen career or job, the things that you get out of bed in the morning looking forward to within your role. So take a look at the values and motivators, and I will show them here as well. We're still self-reflecting. And what you're going to do, and there's a lot here, they're a little bit more clearly organized on the values and motivators page on page 7. And what you're going to do, and again, I'll pause in a moment, is you're going to go through and you're going to choose first the top 10. The first step is to choose the top 10 things that you value and that motivate you in relation to work or life even. So what are the top 10? So I will pause quietly and let you think about those. It's going to be hard. So read through them and then go back and mark the ones that you definitely feel are important. I'm noticing a typo towards the bottom of the first row. It should be lack of pressure, not lack of pressure. You have to narrow down after you mark 20. It is hard. It is hard to kind of think about. There are some like that really pop out, I would think. What are those ones that really pop out? Like for me, helping others succeed is one that's just like, boom, it's super important to me. Okay, once you have your top 10, and even if you don't have 10, that's okay. The second piece is at the bottom. It says, what are the 3 that are the most important to you and that you absolutely would not give up in your job? That whatever job you have, 3 things that you absolutely would not give up. And then once you write them down, go ahead and put one of them into the chat or the Q&A. What any of the 3, choose the top 3 you would not give up. Like I would never give up, helping people succeed. I've done that my whole career. I started my business just with the aim to do that. So it's really my goal. So problem solving. Absolutely. Thanks, Robert. Yeah. Just what are the top 3 you would never give up in whatever role you have? And then just put one of them into the chat. I wish we had audio on this. I love meaningful, fulfilling work, meeting new people, work-life balance, integrity. There's another meaningful work. Miles says work-life balance, autonomy and independence. Thanks, Stephanie. Work and life balance. Yeah. So everyone is different and there's no right or wrong answer to this. It's just something to think about. Like as I move through my career or I think about the next step I want to take, what are those values and motivators that I want to make sure are incorporated into the work that I do? Building connections and problem solving. Absolutely. Learning and development. Thanks, Joe. Yeah, these are great. So again, it's just one more thing. You can go back later and reflect a little bit more and kind of narrow these down. And it just helps you craft your plan going forward. All right, we're going to move on and explore some different career options. Before we move on, does anyone have any questions or comments you want to put in? Okay, as always, I always have a question for you before I talk about a particular topic. My question for you is, when we talk about different types of career options, think about your current company, business, or organization. What types of career opportunities can you think of? So just any types of career opportunities you can think of in your current job or organization. And let's get at least 3. An example of one might be, getting a leadership role. Or Joe, next promotion level. Absolutely. So there's 2. Any other ones you can think of? Like what might be your career option that you might explore within your company or organization? We're not getting a ton, which is okay because I actually have some to share with you. A lateral move. Let's see, Brian, lateral move, but new business area. Absolutely. Mentoring people. Thank you, Siobhan. Teaching, being an ESG expert, sustainability manager. Absolutely. Different responsibilities, right? Within your same role, but different responsibilities, Barbara. Absolutely. All of these are great. Thank you for sharing those. Okay. So there's a lot of these listed on the next page. On the career options page, it's page 8. And if you look through that list on page 8 for a minute, you'll see 14 different types, and there's more, but these are the ones that I thought of when I was putting together this list. And I wish I could hear your voices and the energy in your voices when you're talking about these. Does anybody notice anything in particular about this list of career options? How many on this list are a promotion, like a next level up? How many of them are a promotion? One promotion. You're right, Jennifer. Just one, Robert. Brian, yep. All three of you are absolutely correct. So there's only one on there that's a promotion. So the traditional kind of career ladder where, you know, someone moves up one step at a time through the company, one role at a time, it has kind of become more of a career sort of lattice. Or in the words of Sheryl Sandberg in her book, Lean In, it's like a career jungle gym. You can see this rock climbing wall here. Like you might go across before you move up, or you might move across and down and over so that you can next move up. Like it's a whole new way of looking at careers. So if you look at those career options, you know, when you look through them and you think, oh, well, this might be a great option for me when I'm putting together my plan, what you want to think of are three things. What are the advantages of that option? What are the disadvantages of that option? And what's the practicality of that particular option? So for example, you know, you might think like, well, are there any open positions in that option? Maybe I want to move across to a different business area. Is there anything open over there? Or what's the availability of training? Could I learn a new skill to get to this different place? What is my current bandwidth? Do I have time right now to learn something brand new? Or would it be better to stay in my role and get some project experience maybe? Are there opportunities to advance? Like, what are my family circumstances? If one of those was like a relocation, I believe, right? Going to a different place. What is your family in a circumstance that you can do that? Is that practical? So be thinking about all of those things. What are the advantages, disadvantages, and practicality? And then what you want to think about is what kind of skill development and experiences are best suited to help you get there. All right, so let's take a typical look at career progression within the project management profession. So if you look on the next page, which is 9, there's a pretty detailed list that I put together on kind of traditional entry-level project management to project manager to senior project manager, director level, and VP level. There's also some titles listed there, and there's also some salaries listed. So the salaries, I put the resource there where I got the salaries from. It's basically an average of salaries across the United States. So that could be, you know, here in Idaho and combined with whatever, California or whatever it is. So kind of keep that in mind as you're looking at that. So it's not necessarily Idaho. But here's the first poll, and I'm not sure if I need to launch this or George is going to launch it, but the first poll question is kind of looking through that list. Do you consider project management as a good career path? And the answers there are either yes, no, or you're not quite sure yet. So let's see.
So the poll should be active.
And does it show up, or do I need to hit a button? Sorry.
You have to submit an answer to see the results.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't see the poll, but it could just be me.
In the line with chat and Q&A.
Oh, yep. Okay, so the question is, if you scroll to it, do you think the project management is a good career path for progression? Yes, no, or not sure. And then if you click submit response, then you'll get to see all the answers. Oh gosh, wow. Yes, 91% said yes. Nobody said no, and only 2 people said not quite sure. Well, that's fantastic. It means you are all in the right place. So now all you have to figure out is what's next, right? What's next within project management, and what does that look like? So if you look at that page in the PDF, PM, project management, is in huge demand right now. The Project Management Institute, PMI, estimates that the global economy, are you ready for this, will need 25 million new project professionals by the year 2030. That's pretty staggering, just to keep up with demand. A report by Burning Glass Technologies found that there were over 280,000 postings for entry-level project management positions in 2019 to 2020. So yes, it's a great career path. I know, right? So the graphic shows the traditional project management career paths and roles with estimated salaries. So you can just kind of take a look at and think like, oh, well, maybe one of these appeals to me. Maybe I'm right in the place where I want to be right now. This is the place where this is my lane. I'm really passionate about it. And that's awesome. Or maybe there's a different lane you want to explore. So if you recall the various options, they could include taking on project work roles outside traditional project management path. It could be lateral movement. It could be within a different business group, but still within project management. So all of these are potential possibilities for project management specifically. Can you think of anything kind of outside the traditional project management kind of titles that I listed there for you that you think are particularly maybe suitable for people with project management skills? So maybe those transferable skills. What other jobs or positions might your skills fit really well outside that project management path? Does anybody have any ideas for for people that are on the call? Like outside just those project management roles, what other jobs might your skills transfer over to? Any thoughts on that? Campaign manager. Oh, that's good, Siobhan. I like that. That's really good. I'm going to add that to my notes. So that's something to think about too. And it's also something to talk with your leader about too. Product developer. Oh, wow. That's cool. Strategy development leader. Okay. That's where we have to hone up on those strategic skills, right, Bryant? Mergers and acquisitions. Oh, wow, Jeff, that's really cool. I wish I could talk to you all and hear more about how these transferable skills, go across. Scrum Master. Absolutely. Yeah, that one totally makes sense, Brian. So just thinking about, and then having a conversation, with your leader or with your mentor or with other colleagues on wow, where else could I take my transferable skills to grow within my career? So super cool. Thank you for sharing all of that. All right, let us move forward to the actual development plan. Is anybody familiar with the 70-20-10 model for career development? Anyone know what that is? You can raise your hand and tell us if you know. Is there a raised hand? There's no raised hand in here. Okay, I will just share with you what this model is all about. Okay, the 70-20-10 model is actually how you should be putting together your career development plans. And basically, it's based on the fact that you kind of want to challenge traditional thinking formal class, get my certification. That is not the best way to develop within your career. Effective development should be 70% or predominantly on the job experience, and then 20%, the next piece should be about learning through others. So we always need to keep in mind, as I talk myself out of a job as a career development leader, that, 70% is on the job, 20% is learning from others. Only 10% is sort of that training piece when you're putting together your career development plan. So think about it much more broadly than just formal training like this session. And think about how you might develop within that 70-20 space. And you can see some of the ideas here, what might that look like? Maybe it's, a stretch assignment or a job shadow. I love job shadows. I think they're awesome. Maybe you're volunteering on a particular project. Maybe you're learning from someone else, networking with somebody or a coach or a mentor, any of those things. Another thing that you can do within that learning from others is called an informational. You can look it up, but basically an informational is where you just go and sort of talk to someone like about their role. Like, hey, I'm really curious. I'm not a project manager. I'm not a scrum master or a strategy development leader. Can you tell me about your role? Maybe there's no open role today, but you can learn about it. Like, what are your, daily activities? What are the most rewarding parts of your job? What are the least rewarding parts of your job? It's called an informational, and it's really just asking someone else with a different role to tell you about their role. So that's a really great way to learn from others too. The number one way is those critical experiences that provide learning and development for most of us. And so really think about, when you're putting your development plan together, don't just list some classes or some certifications. You're going to have those, of course, but really think about what experiences can I get to really move through into the experiential learning of that role. And you can see here some examples of experiences. Maybe you're doing a cross-functional project, or maybe you're involved in a transformation project or a joint venture. Maybe you're having interaction with customers that you don't normally have, or job shadowing, or helping develop a vision or a strategy. Maybe you're leading a project or managing a budget. A lot of you mentioned about you want to learn more about budgets. Guess the best way to learn about budgets? Managing a budget. So think about all of these experiences and think about what those experiences might be to help you get a realistic idea of what that job is and what the role looks like. And a lot of times, sometimes people are really open to either job shadowing or even switching roles to cross-train people. So there's lots of different ways you can approach that. So I chose a role that's sort of related to project management, and that is like a supply chain program manager. Okay. So if you were in whatever role that you're in today, okay, let's practice this for a minute. If you were in your current role, whatever that is, and you decided that you want to be a supply chain program manager for your next step, type in any experiences that you think would help you learn to gain the skills to move into that role. So the role of supply chain program manager, you're in your current role. What could you do on the job to help get you to that supply chain program manager? Let's type in and see if we can brainstorm, 3 to 5 things that you could do or you could add to your development plan to get you to that position. And maybe you don't want that role. We're just practicing. You can mentor with someone who's already in the position. Perfect, Brian. You can start with the project manager leading teams that don't report to you. Awesome, Barbara. Yes. Sit in on other projects in that field. Take a tour of the supply chain field or the plants. Awesome. These are so, so good. I hope everyone's taking note. These are the kinds of experiences that will get you to learn about the role that you are interested in pursuing. And you may sit in on some of their projects in that field within, supply chain, and you may discover that it's not something that you are particularly interested in doing. And that's it's a great learning and development exercise. Or you may discover it's really something that you'd like to pursue. Interviewing other supply chain project managers, absolutely, right? You can do that informational meeting. So all of these things. So what I'd like you to do to sort of make it real is on page 10, you will see a box that says on the job experience practice on page 10. And just take a couple minutes to start this. We won't have time to get into it in lots of detail, but think about maybe an open role or position you might consider in the future. Now, it could be your next step, or if you really are in your wheelhouse right now in your current role, you can write your current role. That's okay. Then Identify the types of experiences that will enable you to be successful in the role. So if you want a new role, what experiences will help you be successful in that new role? If it is your current role, what experiences will help you be more successful, more productive, and really be at the expert level of that role? So what is an open role? What experiences will enable you to be successful? And then what are something specific that you could do today? What one thing could you do today to move you in that direction? I see start researching and follow the supply chain industry online. Absolutely. Great idea. So this one is more personal. This is to kind of narrow down into your own plan that you're going to put together. Where you might want to go. What experiences might help you get there? What can you do today? Maybe it's scheduling that interview with that person that's in that spot. Maybe it's volunteering to serve as a project lead, whatever it is. Ask your boss if there are tasks in your current department that overlap with supply chain. Awesome. All right. As you work through your own personal plan and think of experiences that will help you get to your next step, anyone that's willing to type in one of those experiences, please do, because then it will give everybody else, all other 20 people on the call, ideas on experiences. They could say, oh, wait a minute, that's a great idea. I could do that too. So once you think of an experience that A, you could pursue, and B, maybe even one you could do today, what do those look like? What do those experiences look like? All right, Jennifer, reach out to a lead expert to see if I could get specific mentoring. Awesome. Yeah, the best way to get a mentor, even though it maybe feel weird, is to just ask the mentor. Most people want to give. Most people want to share their knowledge, and they'll feel honored that you asked them. So great idea. Go meet with the decision makers and have a conversation. Let your interest be known. Yes, Jeremy. People don't know. Sometimes leaders are not even aware that you're interested in a particular role. And so having a conversation will really help with that. Barbara, I'm going to ask to sit in on meetings to learn how people work and think in that particular role. Love it, right? Can I sit in on a couple of meetings and just start hearing the conversations? That's something you could do today. Brian, co-lead a meeting with the director when meeting with the company leadership. Practice presenting to executives. Absolutely. You've got that other person that can jump in case that, you miss something and they want to fill in the gaps, but you have that opportunity to learn and grow. I love this. This is great. Submit a PMI WIC mentor-mentee app for the winter session coming up in November. Oh man, I wish I could hear more about that. It sounds like there is a mentor program within PMI WIC, which is fantastic. I love that. I see a thumbs up too. All right. Well, I thank you for submitting some of these ideas. Hopefully of just being aware of these experiences that will help you tailor your career development to align with your planning and your next steps. Will help you kind of get going on your plan, be a little bit more intentional about it. If you're a people leader, again, listen to your team members' values, their motivators. What is it they want to learn? Help them connect with people so that people are aware of that they're interested in that role. Since every person will have different goals, those critical experiences will look different for everyone. So they're not going to be the same. So all these things will help you get to that next step in your planning. All right. So these are some of the PMI certifications that are out there. Because of course you're still going to pursue some formal training. There is a poll, and I was saying in the poll, PMI also has events and the like in the works for new members. Absolutely, Alyssa, thank you. Right, so lots of training and opportunities for new members that you can explore. In the poll, I'm curious. We want to know what certifications you currently hold, and it wouldn't let us do more than one. So just mark in the poll a certification or your top certification that you most use. And then when you submit your response, we can see what are the most popular certifications. So far, it looks like PMP is the most popular of the group. I see one for CAPM, one for PMI ACP. PMP is still the most popular. So this is kind of a good indicator. If you don't have your PMP, that might be something you want to explore, because it seems to be the most popular one with people that are in this call, that are in the field. They hold those certifications. So thank you for sharing that, George. I appreciate it. And that's part of kind of the formal, right? That 10% learning, right? All right. Another thing to just keep in mind is having the right mindset for career development. The best mindset is a growth mindset. According to Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck, you can see her book here, a growth mindset is just the belief that we can constantly develop and nurture our skills. It helps us reach our full potential. According to Dweck, if we truly believe that we can achieve more, we'll be more willing to put in the effort to get there, because it does take effort. Just think about today, the things that I had you think about. It take some thought. If your leaders approaching your team's development with a growth mindset will really help you see a lot more opportunities to develop skills, experiences to help enhance performance and increase engagement. So this is the book that you can look up if you're not familiar with growth mindset. I know a lot of people are, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time there. You can also ask me about it if you're curious. Okay. So last and not least, there's just some tools and resources that are available to you. The first is a talent development planning process, and that's on page 12. You're welcome to take a look at what the kind of a traditional process looks like. That is there for you. There's also a plan. Okay. It has you go through, your competencies, skills, and behaviors you'd like to develop. Is it a strength or a gap? Is it a strength you want to enhance or a gap you want to fill? And then what is the on-the-job learning you're going to do? It calls it out, the learning from others or a formal course or program. Talk about it with your leader. And there's also a second page on that is some of the actions that you took. And then I also have, we'll share this deck with you. These are all hyperlinks to just different ways you can research, like, future-proofing your career, project management. There's also this development template available from my learning site. Informational meetings, it talks about that. Transferable skills if you want to switch careers. So some different resources that you can explore. And oops, I don't know why I did that. And I don't know what's happening. Oh, I'm clicking on the links. That's what's happening. Okay. So last but not least, as we close out today in the last minute, in the Q&A, name one thing that you'll do today to move towards what you really want. Type that in the Q&A. Thank you all for attending. Your awesome engagement. Hopefully your engagement helped lots of other people on the call think about those experiences they want to put into their development plans to grow within their current role and take the next step in their careers. Thank you all.
Awesome. And thank you so much. This has been very helpful. Hey, and by the way, for those attendees, we will send out a recording so you can watch it again or share it with others. Thank you, Ann, for the tools, and we appreciate you taking the time with the PMI members. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.
Thank you. Have a great day.